What's up, everybody? Welcome again to another episode of the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. My name is Nazo, your host. I got my brother Anthony in the house. What's going on, Anthony?
What's up, guys? What's up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a big week this week, man, after, dealing with the crazy news of Henry Ruggs no longer having the number one receiver to take it over the top. Deep threat, and, definitely thoughts and prayers go out to both families dealing with the tragedy that they are dealing with at this time. But, as always, we're doing the pregame show for the Giants and Las Vegas Raiders. And before I go into the numbers with the over-under and who's favored to win, how do you feel going into this game with the tragedy that struck the Raiders once again in the 2021 season?
Last time that something happened was amidst the, John Gruden fallout. It seemed like the Raiders were able to come together, put themselves together in that locker room. Yeah. I think that's another, the group has shown resiliency throughout, right? Mm-hmm. So I just think that this instance will also bond them together. Now, keep in mind, this is one player. Henry Ruggs is actually just getting his traction underneath him, in my own opinion, about being more effective this year than he has in the past. Yeah. And he definitely was their speed demon, but I do think that this gives the opportunity to the next man up. And you have a lot of guys in that wide receiver core and a lot of guys on the offense that are key pieces to the chemistry of the team and the locker room altogether. I just think that this is another instance where they'll show how cohesive of a unit they are in this next game. And I anticipate a really well-orchestrated, well-played game on both sides of the ball. And, they always preach family. They always preach love in that locker room. And I really do feel like that's one of the things that the Las Vegas Raiders have is a unity that a lot of locker rooms are more divisive, I would say. So I look for the Raiders to come out on a more unified front and with a sense of urgency to really get this dub this week and really show no matter what's going on externally, internally, we're well, and we can really weather many storms, which is what you would want a team that's going to make a deep playoff run. Mm-hmm. How do you feel? I'm sure that you probably pretty much echo all those thoughts. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. I feel like just another moment for Derek Carr to show his superb leadership. He's done so much this far, as far as, banding the players together and just leading by example. And, no matter how you feel on the situation, it is tragic on what happened. And, yeah, like I always say, like the Wolf of Wall Street, the show must go on. People got jobs to do. People have families to feed. They have a vision in mind, and they're going to look to their leadership and their captains for something like this. So I think if anything, like you said, just to echo your sentiments, it's going to unify them. I think if anything, and I know this may come off maybe the wrong way to some folks out there, but I think they're going to, in essence, play for Henry Ruggs because he's unable to be there because of his, decision-making that he had that pretty much ruined his future with them. I think they're going to play for him just because they know how much the team meant to him, but he made a catastrophic mistake. And I think it's really going to make them pull together, especially with the situation they're in. Everything is in front of them and they're number one in the AFC West. So yes, it is tragic. Stuff like this doesn't naturally happen, within seasons where you have a head coach who's gone and it's not even due to you poorly performing. It's because of, the way that he's handled himself outside of football. And then you have, again, a player, the way he handles himself outside of football. And again, you look to leadership, you look to the leaders on your team on how you're going to forge forward. And just to kind of echo what you said, I think they're actually going to play with their heads on fire, just because if anything, I think winning cures a lot as far as emotions in the moment. And I think, maybe the days after they go ahead and revisit it and give it the continuous attention that they have been outside of football. So with that being said, Let's kind of go right into it and go
Okay.
over the spread as far as what's predicted here in this game. Now, they have the Raiders only favored by 3 points in this one.
Where if I could just like interject real quick. No, like, injuries alone. I would say if it was a full loaded Giants team,
Yeah.
and you had a lot of the guys who are on the IR who aren't playing. Now, granted, it still says that Saquon Barkley is questionable, but we all know he's not playing. I mean, they already said and have been saying that he's out. Yeah, okay. So now they upgraded to out. At the beginning of the week, it was listed as questionable, which they do every week. But we know that this man is going to be out at least another 2 to 3 weeks, right? And it's been that way because of the sense of the injury that he's had. But yeah. I mean, what going back to what I was saying, if the Giants had a full offensive squad as they were, I could see the 3 points. You have to lean more towards the 10-point spread this time around. Like, I'm talking, if anybody who's betting and you see the 3-point spread, you're hammering that. You're hammering that because that's a gimme game, in my opinion. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the spread is just all jacked up.
That's what I was going to say is, I mean, when you look at the way that this team kind of is as far as availability right now, 3 points is favorable if you're a betting man. So I kind of predicted at least maybe 10, but right now the total points is 46.5 for the game, with the Raiders being favored at 3 points. So with that being said, I mean, what's your score prediction? Because I want to go over those first, and then we'll kind of get into it.
You know, I want to be realistic. I honestly want to, you know, as a fan, I want to say that they're going to get 42, but realistically, I'm going to say that the Raiders are going to throw up 32 points. And I want to say the Giants are going to throw up 13. So I'm going to go 32-13 in favor. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Let's go 33 to 10 to 13. 33-13. I'm going to say a 20-point victory for the Raiders. That's going to be my that's my prediction.
30 what?
33-13. So you're looking at a 46-point total.
Okay, so you're under the point total.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm actually going to go a little bit different. I say we're going to be at 31-17 and actually cover the point total and the
okay.
With the Raiders coming away victorious in this one. And listen, let's go over the injuries here because that's kind of the first thing that we need to speak about. So with the Raiders, this is the healthiest they've been. They actually, you know, the remaining folks that are on injured reserve, as far as Richie Incognito, Trayvon Mullen, Damon Arnett, those guys are still there. John Simpson was the big question mark. Remember, we were talking about that before bye week as far as his questionability because of his knee. Well, he was a full participant all week in practice along with Jonathan Hankins. And we actually did get Javen White back and signed him to the practice squad because we released him and then signed him back to the practice squad. Now, as far as elevations go for the team, we got Dylan Stoner, who's on the active squad now, young undrafted rookie, along with Marcel Aitman, who actually came back. And then Markel Lee, which was kind of surprising. He actually got signed to the active roster, who's another linebacker for the Raiders. I think just as a backup in special teams at this point, because maybe he may be being brought along a little bit more in this Gus Bradley defense, but he was a young cat that we got. It was like, I want to say like a 5th round pick, like back in the day when Reggie McKenzie was still around in like 2016.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's just kind of on the Raider side. I mean, as far as the injury report for the Giants, we're looking at Saquon Barkley out, Lorenzo Carter out, Nate Ebner out, Sterling Shepard out, Dante Pettis moved to the injured reserve. Kenny Golladay is actually questionable. It looks like Xavier McKinney, their defensive back, will actually play most likely. Offensive lineman Matt Skura, he'll most likely play. Looks like Caden Smith, tight end, will play. Kadarius Toney will play. Kyle Rudolph will be in there. And Gary Brightwell was kind of the questionable one, which is kind of weird because he's in COVID protocol, the backup running back. But he's listed as questionable. But the thing is outside of him, I don't even know who they have. I think Devontae Booker, right, would be their start.
Correct. That's their starting running back.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Devontae Booker goes down, Gary Brightwell, I don't know who they have to back him up. So that's kind of scary for the Giants. But like you said, if this was a full stacked team, I can see the 3-point spread.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think for Vegas purposes, they don't want to put a 10-point spread on it just because of the favorability of winners to loss. But, we'll see what happens. So this is the thing right now. So our defense for the Raiders, they currently rank 11th overall in the NFL, which I think I remember when you and I first discussed, you projected them to be a top 10 defense. Was that right?
I did. I absolutely did.
So that's actually a good call, coming in. I think this is what, week 9. So we're about halfway, a little more than half.
Yeah, we're over the halfway mark. Yep.
Technically the halfway mark. So that's a good call out, because I was saying around 15, 16. So, you're closer, right? 11th going to the 10.
I mean, we're both right there. I mean, really, we're like kind of comparing like apples to oranges. I mean, it's like it's neck and neck. I mean, it could go either way, one way or the other. A great defensive performance puts them, in the top 10. A lackluster performance put them right around the 15 to 16 mark, like you said. So we're right there. I mean, kind of around the projected mark, but we're.
Guess what with the offense, right? Where are we at? Top 10 offense as well. We're actually ranked, let's see, 9th.
Yeah.
And that's with 7 games played. We were up there ranked a lot higher. So
now keep in mind that offense is with Josh Jacobs out 2 games, Darren Waller out 2 games. You haven't had
about 1 game.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, you want to know what? I was thinking about the bye week. So him being out 2 weeks. So that's with some of your weapons out, and now Henry Ruggs out.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't think Ruggs is the Ruggs speed element is gonna throw a kink in things, but certainly not to the level of having a Josh Jacobs out or a Darren Waller, one of your workhorses, people who rely on that offense. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the offense. I think that Derek Carr's performance so far this year has surprised a lot of people. I know that it hasn't surprised you. I know that you have really been advocating for him for years, and he just hasn't been honestly playing up to his potential. I feel like he's also had some bad beats in his career where he's, that one year that he was absolutely phenomenal, and then all of a sudden he injured, I believe, his leg, right? He was out, and that was it. It took a season from him, and that basically pulled them out of playoff contention.
2016, yep.
Yeah. So I mean, the guy's shown that he's an NFL quarterback, that he has the performance. I mean, this offense definitely is put together, and they've showed that, and you've said it before in many of your tweets and stuff online. If anybody's not following my younger brother online, you guys need to get on his level, because he really is very informative on everything with Raiders. I mean, you really got into it with, basically, stating that, that the offense is going to be there, man. I mean,
yeah. The thing is with a player like Carr, his ability to move freely within an offense, I know people are quick to kind of drop the Gruden excuse, but if you look at just like the way that they're synced up with Greg Olsen and Derek Carr, over the last 2 games, I mean, they've scored, was it 67 points, just about? Yeah. Around 65 or 67 points. Their offense that they've had has been, almost 700 or more total yards, both games. And they've played lights out and spread the ball. And to score 30 unanswered points against the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you saw what the Eagles did to the Lions.
Yeah.
So look at how good the Eagles looked against the Lions, and look at how much we dominated them. like, oh, they scored 7 points, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, the Eagles up there it is. Here's the Raiders, and then it's like, boom, we stop them, go back, score 7-7, then we score, continue to score 4 more times, and it's like, okay, what just happened to the game? That's what happens when you have Derek Carr freely operating within your system with a offensive coordinator that plays to his strengths and doesn't just play call as their own scheme. Because the thing is with John Gruden is he is a stubborn play caller. And remember, we talked about this. Remember on 3rd and 4th downs, how he would go for it on 4th downs. He wouldn't go for points, or he wouldn't go like the safe route to put it back on the defensive side. He'd literally run the ball on 3rd down, right? And you're just, what are you doing on 3rd down? Here we are at the Eagles game. It's 7-7, right? It's 3rd down and I think 7. And you have Derek Carr going 43 yards down the field to Zay Jones. And from that point on, it was just lights out offense. So it's just like Derek Carr will do what he needs to do. And yeah, he might dink and dunk sometimes, but what he has evolved into has been impressive, just because I think it can get exhausting when you're always thinking like, what am I going to get yelled at for? What am I going to get criticized for?
Yeah.
If I'm not perfect on this drive from my coach. And I think with Rich Bisaccia and Greg Olson, they're just like, Derek, just go out there and just do your thing. Like,
I was just about to say that is that with Rich Bisaccia in there and Gruden out, the ego is removed, right? Because you said it very well. We talked about John Gruden. Now, John Gruden, I feel like in our era, John Gruden is going to go down as one of the greatest head coaches of any football team. All right. I mean,
he's more throw out character as far as like accomplished, because he gets all that accomplishment for the Super Bowl, but outside of that, his playoff record's not great. But he's a caricature. Those people who draw those cartoon characters. That's what he is. Like, that's his, like,
well, I mean, he's definitely one of the NFL personalities that definitely have imprinted the game, and he's definitely a brilliant mind. Let's not get that wrong. But the system that the Raiders are running does not need an ego. Yeah. And with the ego, it did them disservice many times. And we've seen that played out a lot of times. And like you said, that fear for Derek Carr to make a mistake and get his ass chewed on the sideline, I feel like that's gone. Like you said, with Rich Bisaccia in there, it's more of a family, more of a cohesiveness. It's more of a, hey, your specialty is here. I want you to do this. I'm going to help you. Let's do this together as a team. More of a very team-oriented atmosphere. And you've seen that by who they've gotten involved in the play calling and basically what's going on, what's not going on, and their ability to make the adjustments. Now, were those adjustments being made with Gruden? Yes, they were. But they're really, really much more significantly elevated and clear for me to see post Gruden era. So that's what I was going to say is, you're absolutely right. Like, that ego is gone, and it seems to be like they do feel a lot freer to play, go in with a game plan, execute a little bit more. And if mistakes happen, they definitely are able to rebound and adjust a lot better.
Yeah. And I just want to talk about on the offensive side of the ball, because what has been our strength that you and I have both noticed, and remember we talked about this, is the ability to run the ball now with the power scheme that we're running, because we were running more zone blocking last time, but I feel like we're running more power now. And the thing is, as well, is we're running more screens. Would you look at that? Mm-hmm. I mean, and the biggest thing on offense is play action. Our play action went up to, I think it was like almost 23%, something like that, 23, 24%. So when you're looking at this offense against the Giants, right? Because the Giants defense played actually really well against KC, but I feel like KC's been struggling heavily on both sides of the ball. What's your expectations from Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake sprinkled in with a little Jalen Richard? Because I don't know if you've been as aware as I have, but the camaraderie as far as like the play calling for Drake versus Josh Jacobs, it's been pretty similar, but it's been very situational that you see Josh Jacobs come in when you want a power run or like a screen and like a critical first or second down after they just got a first down. And then you see Drake kind of opening things up as well. when it's like least expected. So what are you kind of looking for in this one, like especially against the Giants run defense, because they're not that great. As far as I'm looking at here, let me just check real quick before you make your comment.
Now, do you want a prediction, or do you want to know like
the
what
players themselves? Because the Giants right now, they're giving up about 368 yards per game, and it looks like, as far as what I could see, 123 of those yards are rushing. So, what are you looking at as far as Josh Jacobs and Drake this game, just with what they've been able to do playmaker wise?
It's been the two-headed monster for a little bit, right? And I think that the biggest game is going to come. I think the biggest game is going to come from Josh Jacobs. I think it's going to come on the ground. I personally think that Kenyon Drake's going to be mixed in, because the last 2 weeks that they've played, he's definitely been sprinkled in more. I think you're the one who told me that they got him more in like the play action receiving game. He's really been more of a yeah. I mean, he has come through and definitely I would say contribute at least a good 40 yards per game on the ground, which is great, because you extend the longevity of Jacobs' career, and then in addition to that, you're not running him as hard, so you have him for a possible playoff push. I think you're going to have the two-headed monster, like you said, with the option of the third, whether it's Jalen Richards or Peyton Barber. I mean, again, those two guys are both going
to be active for the game.
Okay, I was just looking at the rosters. He's on there for some reason. It doesn't show that he's on the. I mean, if he's on there, he's there. If not, but like you said, I mean, Jalen Richard is the one who's going to probably be, getting a little bit more playing time, right? I think he'll get in there, especially if they're starting to run away with the game. If the game's starting to get a runaway, I think that you start them experiment and see what he could do, how he gets involved in the play in the running game, how he gets involved in catching out of the backfield, see what his blocking can do, see if he's a viable asset to use all three of them. I do look for Josh Jacobs to have a very big game. But honestly, I do think the offense is really going to focus on the passing game. A lot of people think that the passing game is going to take a major hit because of Henry Ruggs. Yeah. And I honestly think that the Raiders are going to be like, give the double finger Stone Cold style and be like, let's go. Let's go. We're going to show you that nothing has missed.
Running backs. I just want to go to running backs right now.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I definitely see all three of them get in the mix. I think more so you'll start to see, the second and third running backs get involved. If Josh Jacobs having a big game, they start to get ahead. They pull ahead by more than 2 touchdowns. They're gonna probably leave him on the sideline a little more. And like I said, develop the run, see what the other guys can do between Jake and Rashard. I mean, Kenyon Drake and Rashard.
Yeah, and the thing that I could tell you right now is I think Drake gets used a little bit more than Jacobs in this game. Just because I think Jacobs is going to establish the run dominance and the aggressive runs. But the way that Greg Olsen loves Kenyon Drake, I see him getting involved a lot more in the passing game, and then also as well in the screen game. Look for Jacobs, though, to have some screens in this game. What I can tell you right now is this is my prediction just from the run game, is I predict Drake to have a touchdown catching and Jacobs to have a rushing touchdown.
Okay.
If Drake does not get a passing touchdown, Jacobs may have 2 running touchdowns. And
I'm gonna call that Josh Jacobs has over 100 yards rushing and he has a rushing touchdown. That's my prediction. And I'm
for Jacobs, and then
I'm going to say 100 yards for Josh Jacobs. I don't want to get into Kenyon Drake because that I feel a little some type of way because he's burned me a couple of weeks in my fantasy. So he's back on the squad. So no hard feelings, but at the same time, I'm not getting invested in that way. He's not playing for me this week, but like you said, if we do see that, I will tell you this. If we do see Kenyon Drake catch a receiving touchdown this week, you can basically bet your bottom line that he is going to continue to be used in that element where defenses are going to have to worry about that two-headed monster out of the backfield, either receiving and rushing, especially on goal line touches, because now you're showing a diversity of a lot of clubs. They'll go with, hey, look, I'll give you an example. Derrick Henry, we're inside the 5. I'm just going to keep handing it to this moose. He's going to run it in for me, right? If you have Josh Jacobs and you have Kenyon Drake, who are both putting time in the red zone and they're getting in the end zone, that spells a lot of problems for a lot of defenses that they're going to play, because you have that ability that that Drake can rush it in. He's more effective catching out of the backfield, and Jacobs can bruise you in and get the tough yards that are needed to get.
Let me tell you something, man. You better get on the Drake hype train, because Greg Olson loves Kenyon Drake. Just letting you know right now, he does. Gruden was the one who was not wanting to use Drake as much. I think Greg Olson is dialed in on how to use Drake. And I mean, use him in a way where Jacobs will get his reps, but when it's time to rest Jacobs, he's looking for explosive plays from Kenyon Drake because he's fresh off the bench. So I'm just letting you know, buy into the Kenyon Drake hype, because it's real with Greg Olson.
Okay.
Let's move on to the receivers, because like I said, we did elevate some cats. We have Marcel Aitman now on the active roster. We have Dylan Stoner now on the active roster. Zay Jones, man. Zay Jones is going to be starting. And I'm going to tell you right now, with Darren Waller back, look for some explosive plays from Zay Jones. But I'm calling right now, Darren Waller is getting in the end zone, and so is Hunter Renfrow. Both of those guys are getting in the end zone in this game. I'm calling it right now on offense. Okay. We will see some explosive plays from Zay Jones, some critical first down plays for chunk yardage. But when it comes down to it, Darren Waller is going to be that early and often target, because trust me, now that he's back and he's fresh, because the bye week, he pretty much used that time to get right. And now with Zay Jones coming in the mix, nobody expected Zay Jones to be starting. He's the guy that's going to get plugged in. He's going to go for a couple routes, but I'm going to tell you something about Zay Jones. He gets open, and he gets open often, and it's underneath and in the middle of the field, and he can go on the sidelines. So what does that tell you? Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow now have someone else that the defenses now have to look for underneath and across the middle of the field. Now they all can't get the catches in that vicinity. So I'm going to ask you, out of this offense, because it's going to look a little bit different. I mean, not Hunter Renfrow, but Henry Ruggs accounted for about 21% of the offense. Where do you think that's going to be distributed to? The sure pass catchers of Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. So out of those guys, because I know I'm not giving love to Brian Edwards, but I think it's going to be a gradual increase week to week. What do you see out of this offense with Hunter Renfrow, Edwards, Zay Jones, and Darren Waller?
I'm going with Brian Edwards this week.
I mean, what are your predictions? I mean, as far as what are you expecting to see?
I'm expecting 6 catches for a total of 70 yards. I don't know if he gets in the end zone, but like you said, it's a gradual increase, right? I do definitely echo your sentiments of what you said about Renfrow, and definitely Darren Waller. I think Darren Waller needed this time to recuperate, and I think that's the reason why they loaded him up, is they see that the Giants' defense is kind of weak. This is a nice tune-up for him. I see them going to him often, like you said, using him like we've seen on games past of primetime games when he's gone for over 100 yards and he scored 2 touchdowns, right? I honestly look for Darren Waller to get 85 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, and I look for Brian Edwards to increase his catches. I'm calling 6 catches, 70 yards, no touchdowns this week, but I think what he does this week plays into the future. Like you said, we talked about this earlier this week, you and I on the phone, texting. Henry Ruggs accounted for roughly 20% of the offense. That's got to be distributed, right? Renfrow is already a very shifty guy in your slot. He's very slippery. He makes those difficult catches. He's your third down man. But at the same time, you're going to start sprinkling into him because he is a rough guy. he gets in there and he gets dirty. He don't care.
Yeah.
He does not care. So he'll definitely take that uptake, but I don't look at the new guys to really start getting involved. I think they sit down with Brian Edwards this week and they told him, look, bro, you're the one who's going to get you're going to get the catches. You pointed out in a private conversation between you and I that Brian Edwards is a sure-handed receiver. He tends to hold on to the ball a little bit more. I definitely look at him to increase his workload, not to the point where it's like out of control blow up, where he's going to have like this like huge coming out game where you look for him to have like 170 yards receiving with like 3 touchdowns where they're running the offense through him. But like you said, I think they genuinely increase that. And that matched with, Zay Jones, I haven't really given him a whole bunch of love, but you're absolutely right. He has solidified himself in this offense. And this is something that I definitely think he'll take advantage of. This will benefit him. And I could see him getting a touchdown with them focused on the bigger guys of the offense.
Yeah. Just to let you know, too, there's no main events yet for UFC. So I know that you're urgent to get back to watching.
No. They're not going to start for a while.
Just they're just like, I mean, we call them scrubs, but they're not scrubs because they're literally legit.
I mean, they're UFC fighters, but I mean, yeah. No. I got it.
It's still the undercard. So I just don't I just want you to know you're not missing anything because I know the TV's behind you. But
yeah.
But yeah, man. So this is my prediction because I like what you were saying. But I gotta say, man, I think a lot of people are underestimating Zay Jones. I really think they are because not only does he have the chemistry with Derek Carr, he's been sitting behind Henry Ruggs. So now that Henry Ruggs is gone, I gotta think. Now, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be 20% of him getting thrown. I think he's gonna be right around 11, 12% of the throws are gonna go to Zay Jones. Okay. I believe Hunter Renfrow, again, he's going to have around 6 catches, 60, 65 yards. I see Brian Edwards having maybe 3 catches for 75 yards, maybe 4 catches. Zay Jones is going to be kind of like, I'd say he's going to have maybe 8 catches for about 65 to 70 yards. And Darren Waller is going to be the high target of 9 catches with 90 yards. So like I said, Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow are going to get in the end zone. Those are my 2 guys to get in the end zone because I think Brian Edwards and Zay Jones are going to be used to move the ball down. But I think when it comes down to go time, Derek Carr is going to go to his sure pass catchers who are and Darren Waller because Hunter Renfrow runs those nice out routes and he has those double moves that he can do where he will get open. Now, don't be surprised if Zay Jones gets in the end zone. I'm just letting you know right now.
Oh, no. I agree with you. I believe you.
That's like my mystery / surprise pick to get in the end zone, just because like I am stuck with Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. But don't be surprised if Zay Jones gets in the end zone because I don't think Brian Edwards is going to get in the end zone, but he's going to play a pivotal role of moving that ball down the field just because, like we discussed, he's got the sure hands. He's a strong receiver. And he's big, dude. The guy's a big guy. And he does body people. Like he bodies up people. Like if you're gonna go up, he's gonna come down with the ball. That's why I keep saying, man, he's a Dez Bryant prototype receiver. And I wouldn't be surprised that the new cat, Dylan Stoner, who just got elevated, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets in there and gets 2 or 3 catches, man, just for like little critical first down moments, because he's another guy out of Oklahoma State. Dez Bryant pounds a table for that dude. Like, I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, but Dez Bryant was like, Dylan Stoner's a dog. And I don't know if you've looked at his tape at Oklahoma State. But,
I haven't.
But, bro, he's a possible, like, in between Hunter Renfrow and Brian Edwards when you look at the type of receiver he is, because he's not really as shifty as Renfrow, but he kind of bodies up people and he has really good hands like Brian Edwards. So he's kind of that in between of Hunter Renfrow to Brian Edwards, as far as catchability. So that's kind of my predictions, man, as far as offense is concerned. I want to kind of flip it over to the defense because although I do respect the Giants defense and their pass rush, because I do think the O-line is going to have a little bit of troubles with Azeez Ojulari and the other cat that they have, Leonard Williams, on the Giants defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
I think those guys definitely will play a role. But I believe, again, if we were talking about the ability to run screen passes, if they start to get that penetration and the Giants start getting a little momentum, I wouldn't be surprised if Olsen starts going to those screen passes to kind of throw them off to where it's like, you got to play honest, you know?
Look, I mean, I got to be honest with you. I've watched a lot of Leonard when he was with the Jets. Okay, there's a reason the Jets cut him loose, and it wasn't just money. Okay?
I still wish the Raiders had got him, though. I think he's a great player.
I think he's a good player, but I do think that the offensive linemen of the Raiders will handle him. I don't think that he will disrupt the play game. They've played harder linemen this year. They've played harder defenses this year than what the Giants are bringing to the table. And that's why I'm saying, like, you can't sleep on this offensive line of the Raiders, because these guys up front can handle their business. And I mean, they've kept Derek Carr very healthy, and he has shown what a healthy Derek Carr can do for you. You know, he has shown when he's not on his back and he's not getting sacked, he shows when he's got time what he can operate for you. So I do like Leonard. I think he's great. I think Big Cat is a great player. I'll take nothing away from him. I just think that he's got a daunting task against the Raiders offensive line.
Who's been the better, more surprising on the offensive line? And this may be an easy question to answer, but has it been the lockdown of Colton Miller on the left side, or has it been the rise of Alex Leatherwood at guard?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Colton Miller, just because Colton Miller really has, from start to finish, really had you know, from game one, he's come out and he's done his business. Colton Miller at left tackle has absolutely been dominant and done everything you needed for him, right? Leatherwood had some ups and downs in the beginning of the year, and I think that's what kind of diminishes his value of what he's done so far at the guard.
But he was playing right tackle. He moved.
You're right. You're right. But what I'm saying though is that he's shown that if he's not in that position that he gets beat. Whereas, you know, again, Colton Miller has been there bell to bell. He's been your man, and he's been that guy that you can rely on. So to me, I definitely do think that I got to go with Colton Miller.
No, absolutely. So shouts out to everyone watching again, tuning into the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. We're here going over the Giants versus Raiders pregame. It's your boy Nazo with Anthony here. We're just finishing up talking about the offense, switching gears here to the defensive side of the ball. And I got to ask you, man, I saw a tweet come out that really pissed me off for defensive player here. And Max Crosby was not on there.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody's dick riding Diggs out of the Cowboys. I mean, let's not take anything away from the dude. He's leading the league in interceptions. My only take on it is that whatever.
Oh, Bobby Wagner was on there. Did you see that?
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing though, is that like they're gonna go with names, and you know the numbers at the end of the year is the stats and the impact of what the team does. Yeah. So to me, these guys can write anybody who they want mid-season. As long as Mad Max keeps it continuing playing his game and he keeps turning up these stats, at the end of the year, stats don't lie, okay? And everything that he has done will come, you know, it'll come to fruition. There's nothing we have to worry about. So for me, like I said, the only person aside from Max Crosby who I think defensively could take it from him that may legitimately deserve it is Diggs, just because of the amount of interceptions. And I'm not taking anything away from him. Well, but again, he's also been burned. Yeah, I mean, he continues to keep. He either gets pick six or he gets fucking burned like nobody's business. Yeah. So I mean, to me, a better output all around the ball and impact for the team and the success has really been Max Crosby. We may be a little biased, but at the same time, I mean, the dude's numbers are going to show through, and that's why I say wait till the end of the year, let the stats speak for itself. And I guarantee you that he will be up there.
So,
because I mean, here's another thing too. People are going to say, "Oh, TJ Watt." People are going to say so many names up there that I mean, they're just names who are always defensive presence on the board, right? But the thing is that when stats come up, stats don't lie.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, is, I mean, when you're looking at, the overall defense of the Raiders, I mean, we got 4 picks, we got 6 forced fumbles, and we got 5 of those as fumble recoveries.
Yeah.
But, if you look at, the total amount of sacks, we're at 18 and we're ranked 14th. We're tied with the Patriots and they have 1 more game played than us. So, I mean, the thing is at the end of the day, Yannick Ngakoue and Max Crosby, I'm going to say right now, are going to go down as the best duo in the NFL this year. I don't care as far as productivity. And I want to ask you this because I know that Malcolm Kuntz hasn't been there because he's been out every game. And I know he's that young cat that I don't know if Gruden or Gus Bradley was the one who was like, hey, we're going to try to mirror him after Yannick Ngakoue and learn from him. But for right now, he's not playing. So we have Carl Nassib at end with Cleveland Farrell, who we thought was going to get traded, along with the starters as Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue. What kind of impact do you see Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue having against this porous Giants offensive line and just mobile quarterback and Daniel Jones? Because, hey, let's not forget, Daniel Jones can run. Okay, he's not this guy who's going to stand in the pocket. He will step up and run on you. So what do you see the impact on those two in this game defensively?
So defensively, I think that Corey Littleton's going to have a hell of a game this week.
Hold on. I didn't say Corey Littleton. I said Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like we need to move on from those guys because those guys every week are there. They're just dogs.
No
one's going to stop them.
What are we talking about here?
But I mean, no one's going to stop them. They're the 1-2 punch of the NFL that are not talked about. They're the underdogs of the NFL that people just continue to shit on because they play for the Las Vegas Raiders.
So tell me, the problem is this week. Tell me, I want to know what Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue are going to do this week. Then we'll move to the line.
Okay. Yannick Ngakoue is going to come up with 1 sack and Mad Max is going to come up with 2 sacks. I'm talking about 3 sacks between the 2 of them. You can intermix them however you want.
Just those 2.
Yes.
And what about in the interior? Because I want to move front to back. So next, now that we got Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue combined for 3 sacks, you said 2 for Max and 1 for Yannick. You already know how I feel about the defensive tackle position and who my guy is and who's been my guy along with Darius Philon. Darius Philon's been my guy, but I love Quentin Jefferson. Love me some Quentin Jefferson. He's an amazing defensive tackle. And mad shouts out to Solly because Solly's been doing his thing. But who do you see playing a big impact here in the defensive tackle position this game?
Darius Philon.
Okay, so you think his snaps are going to go up because his snaps on all? I feel like they've been kind of low.
No, I think this week I feel like after a few series, if the Raiders come out and play Raiders ball the way that we know that they can against a lackluster offense that's missing a lot of key pieces, you're going to see a lot of mix and match. You're going to start seeing guys getting more playing time, taking more snaps, just so that they could work on their craft. They're going to be able to not lose that edge, not lose that like people would. They're not going to score. The Darius Philon, I look to have a big game this week. I think he's going to have a big game. I personally feel like that's one of my guys this week that I think he's going to do extremely well. As far as anyone else, I mean, Quentin Jefferson, Solomon Thomas, of course. I'm not a big Hankins guy, but again, I would like to say, your guy
there.
I'm going to say again.
I said, that's our run stopper there. He has to play well.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I think Quentin Jefferson's going to have more of an impact this game. He's been an anchor for the defense. So I just think him at the tackle position, he's going to come up big. But again, Darius Philon's my guy this week.
This is what I'm going to say right now. And it's going to be opposite of what you said.
Okay.
I think Yannick Ngakoue is going to have 2 sacks this game. And I think Max is going to have 1. The reason why Max has been drawing more attention, but you and I both talked about it. His get-off speed is 0.7 seconds. I do not think anyone on the Giants offensive line can get off as quick as Yannick Ngakoue. So if anything, and the biggest thing that I heard him on the sideline saying, which I believe, and shouts out to Sonny, because I know we were both talking about this at Riot House when I was there watching them play the Broncos, outside containment. When I tell you Yannick Ngakoue is not only a fast pass rusher, he is very reactive and very smart, and he picks up on the things that they don't do well in games that they end up getting beat on. And he's been a big advocate for remaining outside contained. So you've seen Max Crosby slow down a little bit on the sacks, but he stepped up more in the run game. So I don't know if people have noticed that. But as far as what I can tell you from those two guys, I expect Yannick Ngakoue to have a bigger game with 2 sacks and Max with 1, only because if Yannick is forcing Daniel Jones to that other side, Max is going to eat him up, dude. He's relentless.
Yeah.
And Brian Baldinger, I was going to say Brian Baldwin, I don't know why, but Brian Baldinger, he knows the Condor, man. He's ready to go, and he's ready to pounce at any time. So this is who I think is going to do well on the defensive tackle position. Is I firmly believe we're going to see another forced fumble from Solomon Thomas. And I think Quentin Jefferson is actually going to get his 2nd sack of the year. I think he only has 1 sack right now. What's up, Mickey? Yeah, I really think Quentin Jefferson is really going to get a sack this game as well. So I think the front is going to actually get a really good push. And those are just kind of my things. I think Darius Philon gets a little bit more snaps. I don't think he's in the best place with Gus Bradley right now, because as far as like the defense that Gus Bradley's been playing, I think Quentin Jefferson and Solomon Thomas have been stepping up, and Hankins is just that natural run stuffer.
He is. And I mean, I didn't mean to like say that, I don't think he's going to have a great game. I mean, he's been as steady as you would ask of one of your tackles to be. But yeah. I'm just talking about like standout. Like I just look at Darius Philon to have a big game for us. I do like the opposition because, like I said, I could have went either way of saying either Yannick or Max Crosby. But for my sake, I'm going to go with Max Crosby just because the fact that he has been getting beat. He has been getting double teamed. And I think, after this week that he's had off and a little bit of time to recuperate and rest, I feel like he's got enough in the tank this week to kind of like, all right, cool. I got some rest. I got a chance to get some treatment. If anything was ailing him that we weren't aware of, he's addressed that in the off week. I think he comes back rejuvenated, and he really comes back and is as dominant as he was in week 1 and week 2. I mean, so that's why I decided to ride with him.
So let's move on.
Yeah.
Next level and talk about your guy, because he almost got the pick last game.
I know that. And here's the thing is, I like even
bye week. I was like, oh shit, here we go.
I mean, here's the thing is that like everybody knows who's been watching us every week is I picked Corey Littleton at the beginning of the year. Corey Littleton's had a hell of a year so far for me. So far, he's been playing really well. Right now. What's that?
I said, I'm going to be getting you a jersey the way it's looking right now.
I mean, that's the way it's looking. And last week, I feel like he almost like,
well, like you were just before the bye week, just for the listeners, we know last week.
So here's the thing is that had he had the pick last week, it's like that now it's more of, now I just need him. If he just coasts the rest of the way, it's good to go. But here's my thing is that Corey Littleton has honestly been playing a tremendous season so far. I feel like he's been his football IQ has gone up. I feel like he's really doing well in this defense. I think it's also due to the pieces that he has around him. Just because the fact is that when you are a linebacker, you also have to have trust from your secondary, whether it's your safeties or your cornerbacks. That communication is vital to being able to make reads, adjust to the audibles that are called in the offense, to be able to do that, to really be able to thrive. And I think that's truly where it's come up. So, I mean, I think Casey Hayward has definitely played a part in that as well. I mean, also in addition to that, the addition this year of Denzel Perryman. I mean, dude, come on. I mean, Perryman and Littleton have just been playing such good football together. I mean, when you have guys,
hands down,
you know what I mean? It's like when you have guys like that playing football together and you have a cohesive unit. I mean, honestly, the only way you're going to fail is if by some reason you fell through the cracks that you're not a good football player. That's really it, because anybody who's got any kind of skill and has a natural feel for the game, they're going to thrive in this system. So honestly, I think that's what some of the pairing him up with Denzel Perryman, I think has really elevated this young man's career, and I really am here for it. I love it.
Well, and I think it's given Corey Littleton the ability to have more confidence in himself and have someone next to him who can help guide him, because Perriman is a hell of a leader. And I think he's very underappreciated in that manner because he's just a hard-nosed, aggressive sideline to sideline middle linebacker, but he has great leadership skills. And he's like, he talks trash like Jonathan Abram. Like him and Abram are literally interchangeable as far as their personalities and their hard hitting capabilities. But like you said, with Littleton, well, if you have Abram over there on one side, if the safety's on that side, or if Nate Hobbs, the slot corner's on that side, they all have confidence in each other. So that's why they're able to play to the ability that they are. But I want to ask you this, because I know we haven't seen much KJ Wright, and we probably won't see a lot of it depending upon if there's a lot of runs with the Giants. It might be because KJ Wright is like predominantly for running plays. He doesn't get the passing, especially after getting lit up from the Chargers, remember, on those passing plays. So do you think that Corey Littleton and Denzel Perryman are going to highlight this linebacking core again this week like they did against the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, I love their chemistry together. I do agree with you that KJ Wright is more of the run stopping guy. I think he's a good addition. I want to just out myself because I was super high on KJ Wright, and I really thought he was going to be a lot more impactful than he has been. Not to say that he hasn't done a good job, but I just thought he was going to, be more of a contributor along the way in all aspects of the game. That still has yet to be seen. However, like you just said, and like I highlighted before, I look at Littleton and Perryman to have a great week, but that could also boil over to KJ Wright getting some good looks, maybe getting a pick himself because of the coverage, the communication. You never know. I mean, KJ Wright is one of those guys who he needs 1 week to really get going, and he'll get going quick. He will get going quick.
Is I think he's going to be utilized more down the stretch when those certain teams that he's going to be like. Are
you talking about more like when we play Kansas City the next week?
Yeah, not only Kansas City, but I'm just saying like those teams where he kind of knows their tendencies more, like the thing with KJ Wright is his veteran leadership and his experience that play to his, to his positive, right? We know he's not a pass coverage linebacker, but he's heavy in the run game and he's able to make plays. So the thing is now that he's in the system more, he knows the system more because remember, he came in after Denzel Perryman. So Denzel Perryman was he was already going to be the middle linebacker because he's been with Gus Bradley for, 6 years, as opposed to KJ Wright kind of being, I think it was like a year and a half, 2 years with Gus Bradley. So the more he gets caught up to speed and the more he finds his positioning in this defense, Gus Bradley will implement him more. But predominantly right now, he's a run defender in the linebacking core. Now the same thing like Kwiatkowski, he's not really that pass coverage linebacker. He's a run stopping linebacker. So you're going to see Corey Littleton and Denzel Perryman on the field. You're going to see Nate Hobbs and Abram. That's who's going to be kind of that four right there. And then you're going to have Casey Hayward and Faison, on the other side. So, I mean, you're looking at maybe another cornerback as well. Desmond Trufant getting thrown into it now that he's kind of getting brought along.
Hey man, and he's been playing great ball for the Raiders since they brought him in.
Yeah, he only played one game and he was kind of all over the place, making plays. So the thing is I feel like that dime linebacker is going to be more critical with Gus Bradley's defense as we go along. But I think those tweaks to stop the run, I think KJ Wright will get implemented more because the run has been, it's been porous for us. So do you have any predictions on the linebackers as far as that's concerned, because I want to move on to the secondary and then we could do the keys to the game.
I'm just gonna say, Corey Littleton is gonna have a game this week. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm going to go and say Corey Littleton's going to have 2 pass deflections this game. And
I really want to say that he's going to have an interception. I really want to say that he's going to have an interception. But you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say KJ Wright is going to have an interception this week.
Man, I hope he plays enough to do it because I'd love to see KJ Wright happen.
I mean, yeah. Well, if he's on the field enough, I think KJ Wright gets a pick this week and maybe gets going.
Yeah. So just moving on to the secondary, Nate Hobbs is killing it. Rookie season on, his PFF grade is just through the roof, especially for the rookie cornerbacks. And Jonathan Abram, that's my dog right there. I will pound the table for him. I don't care. Even when people were trying to say, let him go, cut him, trade him. I was like,
yeah, you're right.
Out of your mind. But in this one coming up, because we've seen an increased role in Brandon Faison, and we see now with Casey Hayward and Desmond Trufant being kind of the veteran leadership in the secondary. Now I got to ask you, what's the expectation with Kenny Golladay, who's going to most likely play, right? And then Kadarius Toney on that matchup on that back end.
So Kadarius Toney has showed up the last. He's a rising star for the Giants. I will say that.
He is.
This will be
passes too.
So this will be Kenny Galladay's first game back from injury. So I mean, look for him to have some impact, but not major impact. Kadarius Toney also hurt himself last game at the end of the game and had to be pulled out. Mm-hmm. So that's something that he's receiving treatment on. Now, do I think that will limit them? Somewhat, but I think that you're going to have to rely heavily on Nate Hobbs to get involved in this passing game. I look for Nate Hobbs to probably go after Kenny Golladay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he's not in the slot, is he? He's going to be on the outside, Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, Kenny Galladay's on the outside. Sorry.
Yeah,
so
you're looking at Casey Hayward most likely.
Yeah. So to me, that's going to be a good matchup. Mm-hmm. I think Casey Hayward's going to give him everything that he's looking for. But Kadarius Toney, he's going to be your wild card to see if he really is able to come forward and do something. Mm-hmm. and be healthy. I think that's going to be something that you're going to have to be the problem solver.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, man. I think that with the way Casey Hayward has been playing, he's due for an interception. I don't want to go ahead and say that that's going to happen because last time I did, it didn't come true. But let me see something here real quick. I just want to see. So basically, we're looking at is CJ bored or who is it? So we got Kenny Golladay right at wide receiver, and then Kadarius Toney, but is John Ross? John Ross is the other guy that they had out there, right? With
he is. But what's that?
So basically, it's going to be John Ross, Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, and Kyle Rudolph. Is that what we're looking at for wide receivers?
Correct.
Okay. So, oh no, wait, Darius Slayton. Is Darius Slayton playing?
Darius Slayton's out, I believe.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, what we're looking at here is we're looking at Kadarius Toney most likely being in the slot, right?
Yes.
So he's going to be going up against Nate Hobbs. Then you have Kenny Golladay going against Casey Hayward. So I would almost say that with this matchup right here, let's see here. What's this guy's name again? The other wide receiver
for the Giants?
John Ross. I would almost say that Brandon Faison is going to get himself a pick this game if that's who he's going up against. Because I mean, John Ross, he's inconsistent. I feel like with the defense that they've been playing, they kind of play everything in front of them. They don't really let anyone get behind them as far as the Raiders are concerned. But the biggest matchup that I'm worried about is the tight end position, man. Because with Kyle Rudolph and Evan Ingram, I mean, you got two guys that could get in the red zone and make catches. And then who's going to be big body against a linebacker, most likely, unless you have Faison step up and you swing someone else out who's a cornerback like Desmond Trufant, you know?
True, but I mean, the other thing that you have to realize is that from a perspective from the tight ends, Evan Ingram has kind of been a bust since they drafted him, which is the reason why they brought Kyle Rudolph in this year. Now, Kyle Rudolph is not the Kyle Rudolph that we all are used to seeing that when he was with Minnesota. Okay. Yeah. So he's definitely not that Kyle Rudolph, but I will say this. I'm looking at who they have right now. Mm-hmm. It looks like for wide receivers, we're looking at Darius Slayton, a gentleman by the name of Pharaoh Cooper. We have another guy by the name of Kadarius Toney.
I thought you said Darius Slayton was out or he's injured.
Darius Slayton right now is listed as active right now.
Oh, so he's playing then. Yeah, he's playing. So it's going to be
yeah, and then John Ross, Darius Slayton, Kadarius Toney, and a guy named Colin Johnson, who's a pick from last year out of a 5th round pick. Mm-hmm. So the thing that we're looking at here, as far as what's going on, is really the thing that the Raiders have to worry about is honestly the containment of Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. Daniel Jones, whether you want to believe it or not, is their leading rusher on their team to date. Yep. And in addition to that, if you give him time, he will use these giant wide receivers. So that's where we dial it back to Max Crosby. We dial it back to, Darius Philon, the rest of the defensive tackles, and Yannick Ngakoue. If you're able to continue to keep that line held, I am super confident in our secondary's opportunities and abilities to shut their receiving core down, because their receiving core is not that good right now. And the tight ends that, like you were talking about, have really underperformed year after year for them. I think this will probably be the year that they go away from Evan Ingram, because he has had an underperforming year.
But this is what scares me, though. And I will say it because, the Raiders defense, their back end defense has been playing great. Kenny Golladay has yet to get in the end zone. Okay. And that may
change well, that's just because he's been injured, though.
Well, I know, but that may change against the Raiders depending upon what happens. But so he's trending towards playing in Sunday's game, right? So he's probably not going to play every snap, but he'll probably play about 75% of the snaps, right? So who's going to play for him or in his same position? You're looking at Darius Slayton again. Auburn wide receiver. He has 12 receptions, 190 yards, and a touchdown, and his average catch is 15.8 yards. So between Faison, between Casey Hayward, and whoever else you have in that rotation, with Desmond Trufant coming in and like having less linebackers, Trayvon Merrick, I think, is going to have his best game. And to be honest with you, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this prediction right now.
I'm ready.
I think Trayvon Merrick gets a second interception this game.
I like that. I like that kid, man. I really like him. I really like him.
He has a history of going downfield, trying to make a play that's not there, especially with the pressure that's going to be on him. So I'll rescind my interception with Faison, and I'm going to move it over to Trayvon Merrick and say that Trayvon Merrick is going to get his second interception of the year in this game.
Okay.
Give me your predictions, because I want to go over just kind of the keys to the game here, and then kind of wrap this up.
What prediction would you like? Because I have many.
Defensively on the secondary.
Secondary defensively for us?
Yep.
Gotta go with my man Nate Hobbs, man.
You think he's gonna get a pick?
I want to say that he's gonna have at least 2 to 3 breakups. I think that he's going to be involved in either a fumble or a tip that will lead to an interception.
I was just gonna say that because he's gonna be on Kadarius Toney, man, and he's a physical slot corner.
Yeah,
Kadarius.
I'm not gonna say that because I mean, like when I think about a guy getting an interception, I'll think more like a Casey Hayward's gonna come in and just straight pick it clean, right? But when I think about Hobbs, I think about him getting more in there. He's more of a rough guy. He likes to disrupt. I think he's going to either be involved with either stripping the ball, punching the ball out, just getting involved in creating a fumble, forcing a fumble, or he's going to be on whoever he's guarding, and he's going to get his hands in there to the point where a deflection is going to result in an interception.
Okay, so with Trayvon Merrick's interception, I think Jonathan Abrams is going to get a fumble recovery as well.
Oh man, you know what? I haven't seen him like really lay anybody out like I really want to. So I mean, if there's like I'm talking about like,
dude, him and Denzel Perryman lit that guy up in Denver. Remember both?
No,
like.
You're right. You're right. But I'm talking about like I need something that's gonna really like make me feel good this game. Because like the Giants, I mean, like I want to see them.
He had an interception against the Broncos and a fumble recovery last game against the Eagles. So I think he's going to get another fumble recovery this game. And I think it's going to be on something in the secondary where somebody's running, they're making a move, and they punch that ball out, and Jonathan Abrams is going to pick it up. That's my prediction, along with the Trayvon Merrick interception. So your prediction is Nate Hobbs, couple pass breakups, no turnovers, no interceptions for the secondary.
I'm not confident. I don't see anything. I don't want to make a prediction. I can't call it. I just want to say that this is my feeling.
All right. You know what I'm saying? But last game against Philly, I called a lot of good stuff. So I'm feeling good right now. So
yeah.
So the last thing, what's going to be the keys to victory here with the Raiders coming out of this one successfully? Because remember, they're traveling to New Jersey. They're going to play in East Rutherford. It's going to be an early game. So what do they got to do coming off of this bye week?
I feel like the wide receivers need to be effective this game. Mm-hmm. I honestly do, because we already know that the running game is going to be. I'm going to predict that the Raiders have at least 175 yards on the ground between Hobbs and between Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. Mm-hmm. I also just think that for them to really, really have a convincing win, and for the I guess just the nation overall, mm-hmm. they're going to need a good passing performance. We're going to need the receivers to really get involved.
Okay. So what I will say is, for this game, there's going to be three specific things that come to mind. Derek Carr needs to continue playing what he's been playing and taking what the defense gives him and creating plays with his intelligence.
Okay.
The run game needs to be held to a minimal amount. So they need to have one of their better run defensive games. And the third thing is not allowing Daniel Jones to rush and getting that containment and putting pressure on Daniel Jones. I think if we cover those three things, I think the Raiders will come out victorious in this one. And just, overall, again, my final score was 31-17 that I picked for this game. So I'm not saying it's going to be a shutout. I'm not saying it's going to be a one score of the Giants. I think they're going to score 3 total times, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. But just to wrap this up, I just want to let everyone know, thanks again for tapping in with us, going over the pregame to the Giants and Raiders. Sorry, we know that UFC is pretty much going on while we're doing this. So that's kind of where the, distractions are kind of coming from. But we definitely appreciate you joining us again for another episode on the Rican Brother Raidernation podcast. Any last thoughts before we sign off, my brother?
Yeah, honestly, I think that everything that's transpired over the last week has brought a lot of things to mind about like the squad and how people can kind of go against each other and talk shit online and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the thing is that everybody's Raiders fans together, and a lot of this stuff happens to these celebrities. So you don't really know what's going on in a lot of these people's personal lives. So you see some disrupting footage that comes out with not only, a couple of different Raiders players have been involved in some disheartening footage that's been out on social media. Be a good fan, unite, talk about solutions and about, positive ways to have things come out. Don't always be a negative Nancy and a keyboard tough guy who just talk shit, and I mean, try and be the person who's going to be the difference and actually have the positive perspective of things. We're always on social media. We're always trying to contribute on Twitter and stuff like that. So hit us up. Let's get involved. Send us some questions, what you'd like to have from the podcast. Glad to be back. I look for a dominant performance this week. I said that when we played the Dolphins. It really wasn't. But this week, I really want this one bad. So hopefully we need this one for the nation with all the kind of sloppy stuff that's happened. So that's all I got to say, man. I hope you enjoy the games, and let's get after it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And just like, to piggyback that, it's so easy to be negative, especially when shit goes down. I think, always keeping optimistic and always, kind of spreading the positivity. Cause like I said, I mean, being negative and kicking someone when they're down is really easy to do. So just, on behalf of us, we always kind of want to shed light on situations and just kind of bring more positivity to it, especially just with how everyone acts towards the Raiders and just Raider Nation as well. So, I mean, we definitely love Raider Nation. We love being involved. If it wasn't for the Raiders, I wouldn't be doing a podcast just because there's nothing really that I'm as passionate about that I have much interest in. So a really big thanks to everyone who views all of our content. Again, we don't pay to promote this. So I know like our views aren't crazy. It's probably kind of minimal, but it's all about word of mouth. So as much as you can kind of get us out there, spread the word amongst Raider Nation. I do post in a bunch of groups on Facebook and on Twitter. But I just want to say I love y'all. I love Raider Nation. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Weekend Brothers Raider Nation podcast. God bless y'all and go Raiders.